Steve-O.
What's the word?
Listen, man, today we're going to talk about some pretty good stuff, man. First of all, the WNBA Finals has been fire. Through 3 games, each game has been pretty good. The New York Liberty have a 2-1 lead. And just like the Minnesota Lynx did in the first game, they fought all the way back from double digits to get the win. The Liberty did the same thing last night in dramatic fashion. And secondly, I want to know if the Cleveland Cavaliers are really a threat to win the Eastern Conference. We already know how everybody feel about Boston, Philly, the Knicks. How are we feeling about the Cleveland Cavaliers? And are the Orlando Magic good enough to stay out of the play-in this year? Are they a top 16, top 4? We're going to find out right after the intro.
Thank you for tuning in to the number one place for your basketball fix, NBA Central, hosted by the Cognac Boys.
What's the word, NBA basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central. It's your boy, Big Kev, in the building with Steve-O Speaks. And y'all already know what it is. Hit us up at NBA Central Pod, wherever you like to find your NBA content. We going to be there, baby. Listen, last night, Steve-O, that WNBA game could have got me fired. I was in the break room game like, oh my God. I cannot believe that it's another game. Now, game 2 wasn't like this, but game 1 and game 3 have been epic, culminating in a crazy sidestep game-winning 3 from Sabrina Ionescu to seal it for the New York Liberty. They are now on the cusp of winning their first ever WNBA championship. How you feeling about last night's game between the New York Liberty and Minnesota Lynx?
First of all, I'm trying to figure out how you made Ionescu Italian. That's what
Extra E in there, bro. You know I'm very literal.
Ionescu. Yeah, but yeah, it was a that's the games I live for. There's the games I love to enjoy. They was going at it. I mean, Stewie was Stewie. She ended the game with 30 points, 11 rebounds, another double on the field. But it was just an all around. Besides her, it was just an all around team win. Now I was shocked to see them only go 3 deep into the bench. They only played Thompson, Vandersloot, and who was Sabley, who was Satu's sister. So yeah, Phoebus came in, do what she had to do, play 34 minutes, 13 points. Jones, 13 points, 5 for 10. I think that's a whole nother discussion we needed to have with this whole thing, because I think they need to stop doing this thing where they're playing through either Brittany Stewart or Sabrina. It needs to be either John Quayle or Brittany, one of those, and then let everybody else, let everybody else trickle on and do that. But besides that, on the Minnesota side, they let that game get away, and they let it get away fast, and
it was that third quarter.
And I think it's something they coach said in the post game that was very key. She said, "We not a super team like them, so we got to be super good. We got to be super on point. We can't allow things like this to happen." And that's exactly what it is, and that's what happens when you have a super team like that. You can mess up a little bit, and because of the firepower you have between John Quill, Sabrina, and Brittany, you could come back within 15, which I think that's what it
was
was at one
15.
point.
They
Yeah,
were
so
up 20, I think 21-9 or something like
9,
that.
yep.
At some point in the first quarter. The third quarter, every time it looked like the New York Liberty were fighting back, they Minnesota did have answers, and then they
Yeah.
just didn't. It was like, okay, it's a 9-point lead. Like, now it's a 5-point lead. Now it's back up to 10. Now it's down to 4. Now it's back up to 8. Now it's down to 1 going into the fourth quarter. And once New York saw that they were within that type of striking distance, they felt like they were going to
It
win the
went for the
game.
gusto.
Now,
Yep.
now I will say the first 3 that Sabrina hit, I thought it was over. When they put them up by like 4, I thought it was over. I was like, oh man, they got this. And then Minnesota came back and tied it. I'm like, oh, we going to overtime again. And she's like, oh no, watch out.
No.
I got this. I was like, oh my God, bro. It was
Further on,
crazy.
when it was happening, I was kind of confused because, like you said before we started, Brenda wasn't having the best game. So when she came out the top and got the ball at the top of the key, I'm like, oh, they running with her? Why y'all
I
not
thought they
giving
were
it
gonna go
Stewie?
Stewie, right? Stewie was going
Yeah.
crazy.
And then she hit her with the little hezzy. I'm like, oh, she going for the step back or the side step. She bet on it, fake like she going in, side step, let her go. I said, that shit look good. Coop. I said, ooh. I said, that's that Kobe in her. She ain't make no face. She just looked at him.
Yeah, that's
I do
cold-blooded.
this.
Cold-blooded.
Which
So,
is something like I gotta say it. I love Sabrina, and it's something like somebody I've been watching on TikTok who politics. He been saying it. I just haven't been saying it. Sabrina she got a next level to her. She just
mhm,
it's a lot of things that Caitlyn have to some things. They're very similar. This is why I
mhm,
hate it when people didn't say it.
mhm,
They disappear in certain points in the game.
mhm.
There's a lot of times between her and Kayla where they'll have like 20 points or 15 points in the first quarter and they're in the game with 24. Or they had
Mhm,
a hell of a game. No, they didn't.
mhm. They had a nice game, nice quarter, but a decent game. I mean, but that happens, and it happens in the NBA too, as
But no, I'm
well.
just saying that's starting to be a little bit of a staple with her. Kayla can get
Yes,
away with it because she's a rookie. With her, this team gonna need her to take another steps because, like I said, she's the second option. So
yeah,
with her being the second option, I don't think Courtney Williams is going to have another bad game like she did last time. So this
right.
next game, I don't. You gonna need more than 12 points, and you shooting what 4
Hey,
from 9.
speaking of Courtney Williams, she like that auntie that always got a half a pint of Hennessy in her back pocket.
Oh my mama, and you catch her on the back there smoking a doobie. Oh my
Yeah,
mama.
come here, nephew. Let me get a cigarette.
Let me say, you got a lighter? I know you be smoking, nigga.
But no, man, if you guys are interested, and hopefully Dub calls one of these games. But the next game,
Yeah, I'm finna get on them.
Friday. It's the same time as the Bulls games. That's the problem. It's
Damn.
this one right here is the same time as the Bulls game. Friday at 7 p.m. on ESPN. Go ahead and check out Game 4 of the WNBA Finals. If the New York Liberty win, they will win their first WNBA championship, and it's been a great series
Hey,
so far. Don't
I'm gonna
sleep.
be like you. I'm gonna be like you. I'm like in the NBA. Game 5. Game 5.
Yes, give me
I need a
5
game
games.
5. Give me 5.
Yes,
And
sir.
I can't wait till we going to 7 next year. So I can't wait.
Yes, it's gonna
I
be
can't wait.
lit. It's gonna be lit. All right, moving on, man. The NBA season is on the horizon, Steve-O, and everybody feels a certain type of way about the Eastern Conference. Even the general managers feel like the Boston Celtics are gonna repeat as champions of the Eastern Conference at least and make it to the finals. Listen, we know how good Boston is. We know how good the Atlantic Division is just in general. We know how good the Knicks are. We know how good the Philadelphia 76ers are, even with my boy Paul George going down with a slight injury. It's not any structural damage, so he's just gonna have to nurse that thing back to health. Maybe he'll be back on the court in 3 to 4 weeks. But at the end of the day, we got to try to figure out who's a threat to the Boston Celtics that's not in their division. We know that New York and Philly got a chance to make some noise in the Atlantic division with Boston, but who's a threat? And look, the team that comes to mind to me, Steve-O, is the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers decided to go all in with their core. I was reading something that referred to them as their core four, where it's a combination of Donovan Mitchell, um, Mobley, Darius Garland, and Allen, right? And they decided to re up on Donovan Mitchell. They decided to re up on your boy Evan Mobley. Darius Garland is back as well, and then they still got their bench people. They re-signed Isaac Okoro. They went and drafted a 3-and-D guy in Jalen Tyson. So listen, man, this team, and then they got a new coach too with Kenny Atkinson out there coaching
Mhm.
on as well. How do you feel about the Cleveland Cavaliers with led by Donovan Mitchell, who everybody was like, oh, he's leaving Cleveland. He's leaving Cleveland. He's not. He's staying there. They won 56 games last year with team like people missing games. I know they won 48 games last year with Donovan Mitchell missed 27 games. Evan Mobley missed 32. I think Darius Garland missed like 25 games. And their core only played 28 games together and just 4 out of their 12 playoff games that they played together. How you feel about the Cleveland Cavaliers, if healthy, this season in the Eastern Conference?
What Adrian Broner say? Same thing. They're the same. feel the same thing. Like I feel like they're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna win about the same amount of games. They can get their ass booed at the first round. I've told you I'm not a believer in Donovan Mitchell, and like I said, if this squad had any chance of being a squad to be fearful of, that team with Lowry was that team. This team with the four being Allen, Mobley, it ain't gonna work. I don't see, and it's mainly it's not really the bigs. I don't think the nature between Garland and the black hole Donovan Mitchell just not gonna work. It never has worked. It's very hard to win with two guards that don't play defense like that and can't necessarily outscore everybody. So yeah, I think they're just gonna run into some of the same problems. If they do improve, it's probably just get to the second round, maybe, or maybe possibly a conference finals berth. But I think they'll probably win a game in that conference final, depending on who they play. So I don't really expect much from them. I kind of expect more in the next topic team that we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on Cleveland, though. I think they'll be better than we might think. I think health played a major role in them not having a higher seed last season, but they did finish out of the play-in. They did win 48 games. But you're right. I want to see how we feel about the Orlando Magic real quick before the season starts. I know we've talked about the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference as conferences over here on this channel. But Steve-O, going into the season last season, you and I were both pretty high on the Orlando Magic. And we got some pushback on people saying that they weren't going to be that good. But we saw it coming just based on how they did the season prior to that one. So
Yep.
now this season, they coming in with kind of like a target on their back. They finished second in defensive rating, Steve-O. Those guys played the passing lanes like no other. Bobby's favorite player, Jalen Suggs, took care of business defensively. He was a stopper. Jonathan Isaac was healthy for an entire season. We know that he plays defense. Wendell Carter Jr. is back. He was injured last season. He missed a bunch of starts. I think 33 seasons, 33 games last season. Paolo Banchero is going to take a step forward. The Wagner boys are out there, and they still got Anthony Black. Do they still got my boy Markel Fultz?
Let me double check. Nope.
And they lost Joe Ingles as well, uh but they did bring in Kentavious Caldwell Pope, a two-time NBA champion and a 3-and-D guy. How are you feeling about these guys? I feel like they're gonna make a push. Most people have them finishing fifth or sixth, but I think they can end up being either third or fourth if the defense maintains itself and if they can figure out how to shoot threes, because that's their biggest weakness is making the three ball.
Yeah. I feel like they kind of remind me of New York. Like I kind of call them like baby New York. So I feel like it's just gonna be a building block. They're gonna constantly get a little bit better each and every year. I just like the moves that they made. I think they had a very underrated offseason. Bringing in Contavious Caldwell Pope was probably one of the most underrated signings in this team in this thing because we seen in the playoffs when they went up against what was it, Cleveland? I think it
Mm-hmm.
was. They went up against Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't have that player out there that knew what to do at the right time because that was a team full of inexperienced players. I don't think maybe the only player on that team that's not even there no more was Joe Ingles. So now that he's not there no more, they really lack. And I think in order for this team to make that push like you expected, we already know that uh Paulo has taken a leap, and we're expecting to take him to get better even each and every year from this point on. But I think Franz got to take that same type of similar leap in order
Mm-hmm.
for them to make that push.
And they
And
maxed
they
them
got
out too.
yep. And with them paying fucking Wendell, which I didn't expect, Wendell gonna have to be healthy and be very impactful in these games as well. But I think the most undeveloped or the most non-talked about thing about this team they their coaching staff and their player development got a lot to do with this team because there's a lot of young talent that they got to hone in
Mm-hmm.
and make some good teams because they got a tremendous a lot of talent. Like you said, Anthony Black. They still got Jarrett Clarver. They still got Jet Howard. Um, Mac McClung is on this team. Mo
Man,
Wagner, Tristan
Matt,
Da Silva.
Matt
So
McClung ain't
like,
gonna get no tick.
shit, you never know. But yeah, like I think development is probably the most key thing with this team. But yeah, for the most thing, Franz, I gotta see an extra step. So with Franz finishing 18 last, I think 22, around 22, 21 points a game is something we should expect from Franz Wagner this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he needs to take that. He needs to play that Sabonis type role for this team
Yeah,
in the pick and roll, pick and pop type situation.
you
Play
think
some
his
good
passing
defense.
skill is up to that level though?
He's going to have to get to that level. That's all I'm saying. If they're going to take a step forward, he's going to have to improve in several areas, offensively and defensively.
And defensive, yeah.
And again, Paolo is going to have to take a big leap forward in his offensive bag. Like we know he got the midi, we know he can bully his way to the basket, but can he shoot the three consistently? Because if he can't, they're gonna be a middle of the pack team that probably
And get to
finishes
the line more. I feel like he ain't
exactly.
get to the line enough.
Yeah, and they don't want to finish seventh. I think they can finish third or fourth depending on health because we already know what happens with the Knicks. We already know what happens with Philly. We feel that Boston's probably going to be the front runner to lead the East again as the number one seed. And then maybe Milwaukee can take a jump. I don't see it happening.
I'm still see they hanging around 4 or 5.
Right. So it's really going to be between Cleveland,
And
Milwaukee, and Orlando
yep.
that's going to be fighting for that 4, 5, 6
5,
type
6. Yep.
situation. So
That's what
we'll
I'm
see.
looking. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
And Orlando does have what it takes, though. They got the type of team, they got the defense to scratch and claw to some wins that they probably shouldn't win. So
Yep.
we're gonna see how it goes, Steve-O. But all right, man, we're gonna be get out of here. I've been sitting down here for like 3-4 hours recording, bro. So let me get on up out of here, get ready for work. But we appreciate you guys for rocking with us over here on NBA Central. Let us know what y'all think about the WNBA Finals down below in the comments. Also, how y'all feeling about the Cleveland Cavaliers? Do they have a shot to make some type of noise and push some of these higher ranking teams to the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe? Or do y'all think the Orlando Magic has what it takes to be a perennial 4, 3, 4, 5 team that can make some noise in the playoffs as well? That's all we got today, man. Be on the lookout for our episode on the Western Conference. Who could be a surprise team out west? And Steve-O, the ESPN released their top 100 players. We're gonna have to talk about that too.
Definitely.
We're gonna holler at you guys next time. Peace.
This